everybody. Welcome to Listener DM Friday. The great Anna Almeida is going to join me in a few minutes, and I'm going to go through your DMs that have been coming in all week. And I want to thank you for taking the time to send them. I got some great stuff on the way, so I hope you can lock into this episode, and let's have a little bit of fun. Well, maybe after this first part, because I got to talk about this pipeline deal. It's not a deal, right? Whatever that was yesterday that got signed in Alberta between Premier Danielle Smith and Prime Minister Mark Carney. Memorandum of Understanding is what they call it. That's basically an agreement to further explore having an agreement. It's not a deal. People have been asking me since yesterday, Scott, what do you make of this deal? You know, I don't understand how this is a good deal for Alberta, but I see all these people on social media and on the news saying it's a great deal. It's a great day for Canada. Even conservatives are saying it's a good deal. I guess that depends on your perspective. As far as I'm concerned, there are two different types of people in this world. There are people who think that by paying more in taxes, you can change the weather. And then there's the rest of us. I don't think increasing the carbon tax in Alberta is a smart idea. In fact, I don't understand why Premier Smith would do anything that's in any way supportive of a carbon tax, let alone condone a massive increase to the carbon tax. Let me play for you just a little bit of audio. I'll summarize this with a little bow in just a sec, and then I'll get into your listener DMs. Here is Prime Minister Mark Carney.
This agreement today between Alberta and the Government of Canada, it's the first step. It's an example of cooperative federalism. We're agreeing in partnership and in a spirit of trust. But what has to happen, several things have to happen before a pipeline is built. And one of those is a private sector proponent. Secondly, goes directly to your question, which is that there needs to be full partnership, including equity ownership, substantial economic benefits with First Nations in Alberta, First Nations in British Columbia, as well as agreement and substantial economic benefits for the people of British Columbia. So we look at this as the start of a process.
Oh, okay. So it's just the start of the process. And here's the problem. Canadians wanted to know that we're building a pipeline. And after yesterday, there is zero certainty that we're building a pipeline. It could be 2040 before we see a pipeline. 2040. And there's no guarantee that one is going to get built. You just heard the Prime Minister lay out all the conditions. I'm a little disappointed today in Alberta Premier Danielle Smith. You know, I've thought for a while that Canada's worst negotiator appears to be Mark Carney because he's made zero progress in making a deal with the Americans. Now I might give that honor to Danielle Smith. She seems to have completely forgotten that she holds all the cards here. Alberta's going to get its way, or Alberta's going to call the shots. They can stay, they can leave, they could join the states, they could do whatever they want. Alberta has all the cards here. Why on earth Premier Smith would bend even a little bit and allow a massive 600% increase to the carbon tax with no guarantee that this pipeline is going to get built? I just don't understand where she's coming from. Here's the Premier.
I had always felt that the former government of Justin Trudeau created the independence movement, and my first conversations with Prime Minister Mark Carney were that he could end it. He could take the wind out of it. Because we saw this once before. We saw that independence sentiment was very high in the early 1980s when there was the National Energy Program. But when Brian Mulroney came in and reversed that policy, it disappeared. So I would say that good policy and genuinely addressing the concerns of Albertans is always a pathway to have a good and solid relationship. And I think the Prime Minister understands that. Certainly, based on this agreement, it shows he does, and so I'm hopeful.
I'm going to respectfully disagree with Premier Smith. I don't think it says that at all. In fact, if you're an Albertan, how do you feel today? How are you feeling knowing that Premier Smith just signed on for a massive increase to carbon taxes and got absolutely zero in the way of assurances that a pipeline would be built? I wanted to know the date that shovels would be in the ground. That was the only thing that was acceptable to hear from the Prime Minister and the Premier yesterday. Now they're both taking a victory lap because they took a first step? That is not what people wanted. That does not meet the moment. That is not what Canadians are demanding. And that's not what the country needs right now. Do they not get that there's a sense of urgency here? We need to start getting money in the door. And it starts with building that pipeline. Everybody agreed on that. 70% of Canadians support building that pipeline. And there's no assurance whatsoever that it's going to get built. I truly don't know where Premier Smith is coming from. Here's more from the Prime Minister.
And as you know, this morning, Premier Smith and I signed a new Memorandum of Understanding. And it's a framework for building a more competitive, more independent, more sustainable economies in Alberta and across Canada. The Canadian government will enable a clear and efficient approval process for a new private sector constructed and financed pipeline, priority to Asia, and a pipeline with Indigenous peoples' co-ownership and benefits. Completing the pipeline will also require a private sector proponent. It will require meaningful and substantial partnership with British Columbia. We are committed to that. It will require meaningful engagement and consultation between the federal government, Alberta, British Columbia, and Indigenous peoples and rights holders. It will create opportunity for significant Indigenous ownership and economic benefits.
Let me get this straight. So this pipeline, this fantasy pipeline, must be built by the private sector. I agree with that. Let the private sector build this pipeline. But it also has to have Indigenous co-ownership. So if somebody actually does want to come along and invest the money and the time and the resources into building a pipeline, they're only going to get what? 50%? Will they own 70%? Less than that? And they're going to be forced to partner with an Indigenous company. Do I have that right? Seems strange to me. I don't know what everyone is celebrating here because we all agreed we needed a pipeline. And yesterday, maybe it was a first step, but we're no closer to building a pipeline, nearest I can tell. I want a date that shovels will be in the ground. How come we are not at that point? What have they been doing for the last 8 months? What do Danielle Smith and Mark Carney talk about when they get together? I personally think, and I've been highly supportive of Premier Smith until now. I've pointed out at every opportunity that I think she's doing a great job. Yesterday, I think she sold Alberta out, if I'm being completely honest. I really don't think that these politicians get it. I don't think they're in touch with what middle-class Canadians want. We've been told we need to be our own best customer. We've been told we need to do these nation-building projects. Somebody point me to where this says we're doing that nation-building project that we all agreed we needed. What is this speed that we were supposed to be doing things at? A wartime effort is what Mark Carney called it originally. Now we might not see this thing till 2040? No date whatsoever to get a shovel in the ground. That is not a good deal yesterday. If you see it some other way, if you see some progress here that I'm missing, by all means, feel free to point it out to me. But I don't get it. That is not what we wanted. That is not what we needed. And so far, I am really disappointed in Danielle Smith, although this is exactly what I expected from Prime Minister Carney. He is an environmentalist. I've been telling you that since day one. He managed to not commit to a pipeline, but did get Alberta to agree to massive increases in carbon taxes, which kick in April, by the way. Starting in April is the increase to their carbon tax. However, this pipeline might not be built for 15 years, if it gets built. I'm disappointed. Anna, how are you?
I'm just so baffled. I'm surprised that happened. She's been so vocal and strong, and to fold, I'm really shocked.
It seems like she folded, right?
Yeah.
I don't know what she was thinking. And, it's one thing to work out that deal. One thing to say, we've taken a good first step, but there's a lot more work to do. That's not what she did. She was out there sending out all these social media posts about what a great day it is for Canada. I don't see it that way, personally.
I don't think she does either. So what's happened here? There's just no way. It doesn't make any sense. It goes against everything she's been pushing for so long now.
Like I said at the beginning of this pod, you either believe that by paying more, you can change the weather, or you don't. And I was under the impression that Danielle Smith agreed. Paying more in taxes is not going to change the weather. So why on earth she would agree not only to keep the carbon tax, but to increase it? I just can't wrap my mind around that. Seems like she sold out. Seems like it. Hey, Premier Smith, if you want to correct me, by all means, slide into my DMs and tell me what I'm missing here. I get that you got some regulations changed and things like that, but it doesn't really matter because we don't have the pipeline. And there's no guarantee it's going to get built. That's what people wanted. All right, Anna.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Wow. Whew. Okay.
What a disappointing day. I'm more disappointed today than I was the day after that budget passed.
Yeah, you sound more disappointed too, but I think it's because she's been such a prominent figure and really loud and proud and speaking out and this and that. So then to have this arrive at her door, and it sounds to me like she folded on everything she was pushing for, it is sad.
Yeah.
When you're hoping for something and it completely blindsided you.
Yeah, I mean, there are some good things in here. I guess they're going to start allowing more tankers, and they can increase the amount of volume that goes through the one pipeline. And okay, that's good, but that's not what we wanted. It's not what we were promised. And it almost seems like a bait and switch.
Yeah.
This seemed like a real sneaky way of increasing carbon taxes. And I can't figure out why a single person in Alberta would be in favor of this. And by the way, those on the far left, the green people, they are livid, hopping mad. I'm here to tell you, don't worry about it. It's never going to get done anyway. So just calm down. Stephen Guilbeault resigned his cabinet position. Not at all surprising. He was going to get kicked out anyway. And he's probably not even going to run in the election that's coming up in April. So, and by the way, his pension, he officially secured it on October the 21st.
Oh, isn't that nice?
He should have some balls and quit the caucus. He shouldn't just step out of cabinet and still sit as an MP. You either believe in what Mark Carney's doing or you don't. Clearly, Stephen Guilbeault doesn't, so he should leave the Liberal Party. Step down as an MP if you want. This is not what you promised your constituents, Mr. Guilbeault. I know that for a fact. It's not what you promised your donors. So then quit. Don't go halfway and just step out of cabinet. Quit the Liberal Party. Resign your seat. I think that once the hype of the announcement dies down and people actually look at what they got versus what they gave up, they're going to realize Premier Smith did not do a great deal yesterday. She could have done a lot better for Albertans.
Hate to be her today. I'll tell you that much.
Let's get into those listener DMs, Anna.
Okay. We're going to start off with Norm, and it has to do with the 407. He writes, "Hey, Scott, just saw your post on X. I couldn't agree more about the 407 scam. I took a family on a trip to Jersey this summer, and it cost me $20 US. A trip to Highway 400 from Grimsby cost me around $90. How is that even allowed?"
It shouldn't be allowed. What's going on the 407 is insane. I read another interesting statistic the other day. Premier Ford always points out it costs the economy $56 billion a year from congestion. That's just lost productivity, $56 billion a year. I also found out the average truck driver spends about 216 hours sitting in traffic on the 401. That's 9 full days. It doesn't need to be like this. Buy back the highway. And you know what? Again, if they don't want to sell, tough beans, annex it. This is a Spanish company that owns the majority of the 407. Screw them. Send them a check if they don't want to sell. Just send them a check and say, we're taking it back. Now, as for the other owners, well, that's the teachers' pension fund.
Oh.
Yeah, they could use a huge influx of cash. That is a good stimulus for the teachers' pension plan.
I'd be out there picketing.
Sure. And you know what? There's lots of other places they could invest their money. So give them a big lump sum to buy them out of the 407 and we take it back. This couldn't be any more. It's such an obvious solution that I'm almost wondering what's going on here. Did somebody make a deal? There's just no way we can't get out of this deal. So something's got to be happening behind the scenes. It's probably corruption, if you ask me.
Oh, wouldn't be surprised. And the next couple texts or DMs are about the 407. Katie, I drive almost every weekend to Trenton from Kitchener. And so I wish I could take the 407 to save myself about an hour. But I think it would cost me about $70 one way. So I don't, and I just put up with the traffic. Look forward to listening to this one tomorrow on my way to Trenton.
All right. That's a hell of a drive. Was it Kitchener to Trenton?
Trenton, yeah.
Wow. I don't know why you do that drive. I think generally people go to Trenton for military reasons.
That's what I was thinking. Yeah, visiting someone there, maybe?
Not sure, but isn't that ridiculous? You can save an hour off of that commute, but it'll cost you $70. Nobody should have to make that choice. You should be able to go where the traffic is flowing the best, regardless of where it is. We should not let foreign companies own our highways. Full stop.
Well, McFly writes, "Hey, Scott and Anna, good pod today. I really enjoyed it. About the increased costs on the 407 and the attack on the middle class, I only take it now if I see that there is an accident on my normal route from Mississauga to Burlington coming home. It is way too expensive just to take on an everyday commute." It's true.
It is true. And why are we even having this conversation? A mistake got made under the Mike Harris years. Doug Ford has an opportunity to fix the mistake, to right the wrong, and to truly help out people in the GTA. Why won't he do this? I don't understand. He is so on the money on so many different issues. But this one, he's not doing a thing, nearest I can tell. And people are noticing. People are suffering. The cost is too much, and I don't know why he will not address this.
It's true. Another increase? My gosh.
Why is the media not every single day at Queen's Park asking him what he's doing to relieve gridlock in the GTA?
Because we're focused on the signs that are replaced our cameras for speeding.
There's a story in the news that some cities say, we don't have the right size poles for these new signs.
It's ridiculous. I can't.
Honestly, that's one of the dumbest things I've ever heard in my life. You know what? The premier should call the mayors of all of these cities complaining the poles aren't the right size for the signs. Call them into his office and read them the riot act, because that is nothing more than a smear trying to make the premier look bad. Doug Ford did a great service for people when he canceled those cameras. Putting up even bigger signs, you should welcome bigger signs if you liked those speed cameras, because the signs do the same thing.
Yeah.
They're supposed to catch your eye and make you slow down.
Exactly.
Without punishing people with punitive fines 7 to 10 days later.
So that's what people are talking about and not asking the questions about the 407, which is shameful.
They should be asking about the 407. It's an issue that's got to get corrected. I know it's a lot of money, but we got to spend it. And hey, I'm told it'll cost around 40 to 45 billion to buy back the 407. If it costs us $56 billion a year in lost productivity, it's a no-brainer to buy back the 407. By the way, teachers, yes, you should be 100% in favor of us buying back the 407, because you're the ones who are going to benefit with a major injection of cash into your pension fund.
I wonder if they just don't realize that.
I don't think the teachers do.
Yeah, this is the first I'm hearing about it, to be honest. I'm not a teacher, but that sounds enticing. All right, next up we have Rob. Hey, Scott and Anna. If this makes it to Friday. It did. So just spent last night binging and listening to this week's episode and had to take a break from everything political based. So the amount of liberal propaganda in my social media and YouTube feeds is just sickening. If it's this bad even before their social media restrictions are finalized, that's crazy. I also noticed that the $528 billion Canada gave to the European space program is being counted as a defense spending. How does searching for ET qualify as defending Canada when we already have a space program through NASA?
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't know why we're donating money to the European Space Agency. I do know that it's on the Brookfield campus, though, and well, that's a little fishy. It's a hell of a lot of money to be giving to the European Space Agency, especially when we're trying to get the Canadian Space Agency established. They're trying to get a launch facility in Newfoundland going. Why on earth would we spend money with the European Space Agency when we have needs here at home? It's completely crazy. But somebody's getting rich. Somebody's getting rich off of that. Counting it as defense spending, it's debatable. A lot of countries put a lot of things in there under defense that aren't really defense. So whatever, it is what it is. If NATO agrees that it's defense spending, then I guess I can buy in on that. When it comes to your social media feed, every now and again, you got to do a reset. If you just take some of the propaganda that you're getting bombarded with and right click or tap it, especially the 3 dots in the top right-hand corner, you can minimize how often you see that. If you also toggle between recommended and the people you're actually following, go back to just the people you follow for a while, interact with some of those posts, then you can go back to the recommended and you'll still get all kinds of stuff that you weren't expecting to see, but it won't be as obvious in your face government propaganda.
Very nice. All right. Well, Brandon, he brings up Brookfield. Hey, Scott, love today's pod again. Now, this may sound crazy, but it got me thinking when you mentioned Carney was in UAE after Brookfield. think he wanted to be empowered to help all his Brookfield buddies secure all these deals. And once all these deals are secure, he will call an election and Pierre will win and Carney will go back to making billions, I'm sure, at Brookfield. Or is that some insane conspiracy I thought of?
That's an interesting theory. Nobody really knows.
Yeah.
Although there's a great video floating around right now. I have retweeted it. It's in my feed if you want to follow me on X at Scott Fox On Air. It's a 10-minute video of someone explaining how they think Mark Carney is using Canada's pension funds and playing a little shell game with environmental issues. He's offering basically risk-free investing, but he's backing it with our pension funds. I am doing a terrible job at giving you the Coles notes on this. Everybody should watch it. I don't know for sure if it's true, how well researched it is, but I'll be honest, it seems very well researched and it's very plausible. Watch this video, share it with your friends. It's an interesting explanation for what this person thinks Carney is doing with the Canada Pension Fund. Scary stuff, Anna, when we're messing with that, because we shouldn't. Our pension fund is not cash on hand, a slush fund for the government to tap into like petty cash in a store. That's not what this is. If he's leveraging that, I'm worried about it. I really am. Look for that video, everybody. It's getting shared like crazy, and a lot of people think that the content in there is true.
And Scott Fox On Air on Twitter.
That's correct.
Perfect. Okay, so Alex, hey Scott, just listening to your episode on Thursday, and you mentioned it will be 100% that we have a spring election. Will it be the Liberals calling it? Will it come from a non-confidence vote?
Well, really, what the Liberals would like to do in an ideal world, they would like the Conservatives to bring them down, or the Bloc, one or the other, so that they can say, we don't want to go to the polls again. In reality, they do want to go to the polls again. They would not have been upset if that budget had lost, because that was one of their best opportunities to secure a majority government. I don't know if it's in the cards anymore. I'm really not sure if it's going to be in the cards for them to have that. So I think this election is probably going to get triggered by the Liberals themselves.
Okay.
I would think. You know what? There's so many ways to do it. You can just put up a bill that you know the opposition is not going to support and dare them to bring you down on it. And at some point, they will. There's a lot of reason to think that it's... no, I don't want to say that. I heard something the other day, and I'm not going to share this yet because I haven't independently verified it. Basically, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if the opposition brings the government down or if the government brings themselves down. In fact, Carney could just walk over to Rideau Hall and ask the Governor General to dissolve Parliament and call an election. It could happen anyway. The fact is, it's going to happen April.
All right. Well, we have Raf here. He says, hey, Scott. With the tariff stance being what it is right now, this is setting the stage for a rough ride when the CUSMA review hits on July 1st, 2026. If things stay the way that they are, Canada is going to be vulnerable, in a very vulnerable spot during renegotiations. Curious what you think about where this is headed with a review on the 1st of July.
Well, we're not going to get the deal that we have now. It's very unlikely unless we can reach some sort of an all-encompassing deal with the Americans where basically we're interchangeable. We're basically each other's best friend, neighbors again, and we have the free flow of people and goods over the border. If we could get to that, I think it'd be great. I just don't think it's going to happen that way. Renegotiating CUSMA is going to be tough. I don't think it's going to work out that well in our favor because we don't have any leverage. It's not even like we can go to Donald Trump and say, you know what? We've taken major steps to make sure we're not relying on you. And in 15 years, we probably won't need you anymore. We don't have any leverage. We didn't commit to a pipeline yesterday. It's silly. I don't know how it's going to go with renegotiating CUSMA. It's going to depend on how generous the president wants to be to Canada. He doesn't have to agree to anything he doesn't want to agree to. And we don't have any leverage to make him. So I don't think it's going to be good for us.
All right. Well, Alex wrote...
By the way, I hope it's good for us. I just don't think it's going to be.
Okay. Well, Alex wrote a question, and he says, I got a question for Anna for Friday. I believe she voted this past election with her parents, if I'm not mistaken, for the Liberal Party. Does she and her parents regret it? If there was an election today, would she and her parents still vote Liberal, or would she and her parents vote Conservative this time? Ooh, good question. I've talked about it here where I feel like I've been duped. and I'm really pissed off because nothing's happening that was promised. Obviously, it's a lot of talk and a lot of empty words. Nothing's happened. And so, yeah, I feel really bad that the Liberals took office and the support was there. I got to say that for me, Poilievre came on so strong, and I don't do well with that kind of in my face approach. But I also wasn't for the elbows up. I didn't believe in that. I thought that was just a ridiculous play on that was trying to get attention, and it did. I just went with the devil that I knew. And now that I know this devil, I don't like him. I don't like him.
So you went with the devil you didn't know.
I went with the devil we knew. I went with the Liberals instead of going with the Conservatives with Poilievre because I didn't know him. And I went with what we had been doing in hopes that this guy would step up and do the right thing. He worked for the banks. He knew money, and nothing's coming back in my pocket.
No.
No.
But I mean, in fairness, we all told you exactly what was going to happen. To the letter. We told you how this was going to go down. Like, I understand why he's asking that question because people ask it all the time.
Yeah.
If you voted Liberal, can you at least acknowledge that you got conned?
And I did. And I've said it right from the beginning that I felt like I got conned and I felt stupid. And I've said it. I was not embarrassed to say it because I think it's important to admit when you've done something wrong.
You didn't do anything wrong. You made a choice. It just, you were also sold false hope. You were sold a fake emergency. There really wasn't any of those things. And Mark Carney proves it daily that it wasn't and it isn't an emergency what we're dealing with the U.S. right now.
And for me, really, the biggest thing, and we've talked about this, and it wasn't even about the U.S. I didn't think that we were going to become another state or blah, blah, blah. It was more so the messaging about abortions and a woman's body and this and that. And yeah, so that's where it really was in my face. And that was the approach. And that's what got me thinking. But
who put that in your face? Because the Conservatives never once brought up abortion. The Liberals brought up abortion and said Pierre would take it away like they do every single election. This is a go-to for the Liberals. The Conservatives will take away your right to choose, even though that will never, ever happen in Canada. The next time some Liberal tries to tell you the Conservatives will take away your right to choose, you should just laugh and walk away because it is such a joke at this point that people keep falling for that.
But I got to be honest, now that you and I know each other and I've been listening to your pod more and just understanding more of the lay of the land, I feel more prepared for another election. Does that make sense? I feel like I can approach it with different eyes and understand things a lot better than I did before. I was just going by what I saw on TV. Does that make sense?
Another win for the mainstream media. And also social media spread that rumor so much. And it's infuriating because we all over here on the right know that it's not true. We can point to all the years that Stephen Harper had a majority government and never touched the issue. We can tell you it's right in the party's constitution that they will not change our abortion laws. But you get some liberal influencers out there and a couple of politicians that have nothing else. They can't argue with common sense, so they make up lies. They say the Conservatives will take away your right to choose. Nothing could be further from the truth. By the way, look around at the amount of women that are in the Conservative caucus. Look around at the amount of women that are volunteering for the Conservative Party. They're not going to take away anyone's right to choose. The abortion laws are not changing. Full stop.
Yeah. So I hope I answered your question, but I've been honest since the beginning. So there you have it. So thank you for that. All right. Next up, we have Gina. Hey, Scott, I was listening to your latest podcast and wondered, would there be value in talking about why liberals want to vote liberal rather than conservative? What do they see as good for them and the economy? I'm with you. However, maybe it would help people like us understand why people do vote liberal, aside from the obvious reasons that we can't really voice. Also, totally agree in regards to the Christmas concert in the school. If anything, doing it brings more community and joy. It has been an option. It has to be an option and an excuse. And this obviously becomes an excuse not to celebrate Jesus.
It's hard to see it any other way when you've got Catholic schools canceling school Christmas concerts for BS reasons.
But it's Catholic school. It's about Jesus.
It should be.
I went to Catholic school.
So did I. Why do people vote liberal? That's an interesting question. I guess probably the best place to start on that is for many, many, many years, We had the NDP on the left. We had the Conservatives center right. And you had the Liberals in the middle. And that was basically the way Jean Chrétien ran this country. The problem is, this is not Jean Chrétien's Liberal Party anymore. This is a far left extremist government. Now, I'll give them credit. It was far left under Justin Trudeau. They've moved a little bit more to the center under Mark Carney. But here's the problem. Even if you like where Mark Carney is taking the Liberal Party, almost the entire caucus is Justin Trudeau's people. The same people that were cheering him on, demanding that we had to have tax increases or carbon tax increases, insisting that we were in a climate emergency and all these other things that they were doing. The Liberals went far left under Trudeau. It's going to take a lot more than Mark Carney to bring them back to the center. But people think, they still have that perception, the Liberals are the party in the middle. I just want middle of the road, little bit of right, little bit of left. You don't get that with today's Liberal Party. You get out of control, unmanaged immigration. You get intense crime waves. You get really lax on crime policies. You get horrible mismanagement of our economy. You get generational debt. You get promises with nothing delivered. These are all things in the modern day Liberal Party. And it's frustrating again for folks over here on the right, the common sense people. We're actually not that far on the right. The problem is the center has moved so far left because of the Liberals and their pivot. So, I mean, common sense is common sense. Can we all agree that we should put... Let's start off with murderers. Can we all agree that murderers should be in jail? I don't know that you would get that agreement from this Liberal government. There's going to be somebody who raises their hand and says, well, but what about this, though? It's not a reasonable stance to take. If you like a middle of the road government, if you like a government that is going to live within its means, a government that is going to spend your money responsibly, then you can only look in one direction. People have got to lose this perception that the Liberals are the centrist party, because they're not, and they haven't been for at least a decade. The days of liberal Jean Chrétien are gone.
That's a great way to put it, though.
But they are. And you know what? It's funny because there's two different types of people that I think are still voting Liberal. Those who just have been programmed to think conservatives are bad people. I'm a conservative. I'm sitting here every day. You listen to me, and I'm reasonable about a lot of different issues. That's the modern day Conservative Party. It is made up of all colors, creeds, religions, both sexes, and you name it. It's an extremely diverse party. It's a big tent that Pierre Poilievre has created there. We are not bad people, but the media goes so far out of their way to demonize anyone that isn't on the left. And people fall for it all the time. Anna, you were talking about how Pierre was just too in your face. Pierre was fighting to get rid of a tax that Canadians agreed they hated. Why on earth people would allow him to get rid of the tax and then not vote for him? I just don't understand it. You know, it's so frustrating, but I think people are coming around. I think people are starting to see it. They're starting to realize that the Liberals under Jean Chrétien are gone and the new center is actually on the right.
Honestly.
Because it's common sense. And that's the best thing about common sense is it's common sense. You can't argue with common sense.
Yeah, that's a really great way to put it and allow people to sit in it and just think about it. So I appreciate that. Thank you. Next question is from Jay. Hey, I almost commented after I heard about the canceled Christmas concert on Friday DMs, and then I heard your follow-up yesterday, and I knew I had to comment.
Is there a comment?
I didn't see a comment.
Oh, shoot. Okay, well.
So I think there just felt like I'm happy that you said something.
Yeah, I wish I knew more about why that school is doing that. They were a little vague in their reasoning, but hey, listen, that's a rite of passage. Having the school Christmas concert is a rite of passage, and in this country, we celebrate Christmas. And if you come from a country that doesn't celebrate Christmas, then you can talk to the teacher or the principal or whatever, or maybe you just shouldn't be in that school. Maybe you should go to a different school. I don't know. But either way, it's a time-honored tradition here in Canada that every year parents go down and they all sit in a hot, stuffy gym and they watch their kids sing a few bars of one song. They take a couple of pictures and everybody goes on their merry way. Why on earth we would cancel that, I think for woke and politically correct reasons, I think that's a misguided decision, and I'd like to know who made that decision, and I'm hoping that someone will right that wrong, because it is something that we do that we should not sacrifice or compromise on.
So I have friends in my life in a similar situation where they don't believe in Halloween, but they don't tell the school to cancel it, don't have kids dress up. They just keep their kids home from school and do their own thing.
And you're perfectly entitled to do that.
And so that way it doesn't affect anybody else.
Hey, Christmas in most ways is a Christian holiday. If you're not of the Christian faith, okay, no problem. I don't know why you would send your kid to a Catholic school then. That to me is weird. But there are checks and balances there. You can opt out of a lot of different things that have a religious theme to it. Fine, that's good. The Christmas concert is no different. You shouldn't be lobbying to have the concert canceled because you don't believe in Christmas or you don't belong to the Christian faith. Just sit it out. That's fine. There's a lot of things I don't want to do, and I just don't go.
Yeah. And
you could do the exact same with your kid. It's one afternoon or day or evening. Just don't participate.
Don't hurt it for everybody else.
Well, that's the thing, right? And I think there's a lot of Canadians that would agree with that. I think there's a lot of immigrants that would agree with that.
I'm an immigrant. I agree.
I think that there's a lot of people who are not Christian that would agree with that. It's just the way it is.
Yeah. It's sad. Anyways, Mick goes, "Hey, Scott, great podcast about aluminum and steel pricing. The machine shop I work for buys a lot of exotic metals from Europe or the U.S. because we can't source them here. So now we'll get hit with higher costs. It's ridiculous. This will kill Canadians' jobs. This PM is out to lunch." A year or two ago, got a similar notice. Our community was, I think that's where it is. Here. Can I just say that? This is from Jay. I found his part.
Okay, so now I'm really confused.
Okay,
Where are we at here?
So Mick finished with, "It's ridiculous. This will kill Canadian jobs. The PM is out to lunch," when it comes to aluminum and steel pricing.
Yeah, I don't know what we do for rare and exotic metals. I'm not sure how you're going to get around the import bans other than you're going to have to pay tariffs. We imposed a global tariff regime. And who pays the tariff? Of course, our businesses do. If you need to import that for your business, hopefully the government knew about that and took that into account. But I don't know that they did. I don't give them much credit for being able to run a country, let alone pay attention to details of what small businesses do. So unfortunately, you're probably going to get screwed over. We've gone completely protectionist here in Canada. Not only do we have Canada saying we have a Buy Canadian provision, now all the provinces have got one, and even certain cities are starting to roll it out where they'll only buy from certain places that are Canadian. I don't know. That's not how the world worked. We were just preaching against that kind of stuff a few months ago. I don't know why we turned to it, but hey, when we impose tariffs, it's a tariff on ourselves. Just keep that in mind. We are now taxing ourselves even more. Now, you have a follow-up to the Christmas concert email?
Yeah, from Jay. So
you found it.
I did. So it's just broken up. Anyhow, so he's like, "I knew I had to comment. A year or two ago, we got a similar notice. Our community was upset since it's one of the few chances we get to see our kids at school post-COVID. Our parent council discussed it and came up with parents volunteering to help organize activities to reduce the teacher's workload, linking many presentations to curriculum topics so core teaching stayed intact. We've also called it a winter or holiday concert for years, not Christmas. There might be a Christmas carol too, but most aren't. Our school is 65% ESL, and those families love seeing their kids on stage. It's not about it being a Christmas concert. Honestly, I think teachers just find it too much work." That's from Jay.
And you know what? There is something to that, too. There's we got a different crop of teachers in some cases, and they're not really all that interested in doing the extras. And frankly, I try to put myself in their shoes, and I get it. Yeah, your job is to teach, and you're supposed to be there from 9 till 3. And if they ask you to stay until 5 or 6 or whatever for this or that, I get that that's frustrating. It's something that teachers have always done voluntarily, but there's a lot of them that don't want to do that now, or they don't have the capacity, or they don't have the daycare, or they don't have the whatever because they've got families too. So I understand. It's just we've got to find a compromise here. And if the compromise is that it doesn't happen at night, it happens during the school day, so be it. Then make it work. But we got to find a way to make it work so that it works for everybody, and we don't get rid of a time-honored tradition in this country just because of whatever. if it's because of teacher burnout and stress, I mean, there's ways around that. Incorporate it as part of the lesson and do it during the school day. We can work around that. That's not something that I think is a major barrier or obstacle. I'm also not aware of why it would be more stressful now than it used to be. I get that there's a different set of issues with these kids, but it is what it is. We can make this work, and we should strive to make it work, not just throw our hands in the air and say, well, I'm going to have to cancel the Christmas concert because, well, we just don't want to do it. And that's basically what it seems like is happening.
Yeah. Well, Taylor writes, hey, Scott, a while back, someone wrote about people coming to Canada to have babies, and I just witnessed it. I had my third child recently, and in the hospital, there were two very pregnant women who had just arrived, one in labor and one prepping for a C-section. Neither spoke English and had medical records in their own language. They got the same room and arguably better care with nurses who spoke their language, while I had rotating nurses who forgot my meds and didn't check my vitals for nearly 12 hours.
Wow.
I never believed people would travel here that late into pregnancy just to give birth, but I saw it twice. And I'm pretty sure the baby becomes a Canadian citizen automatically, letting the parents stay and bypass what seems like a non-existent immigration process now.
Yeah. Hey, listen, that's something that a lot of people have suspected was going on for a very long time, and now you've got it verified. That's someone who saw it with their own eyes. That's what's going on here. It's another way to sneak yourself into the country. Why would we let someone come here on the verge of giving birth without health care, without private health insurance? Why would we do that? Why would we let them come here, period, when we know that if they give birth here, that kid becomes a Canadian citizen and that parent then has a claim to try and get a Canadian citizenship or permanent residency themselves? It's ridiculous. It's another loophole that's got to be closed. By the way, we don't have room in our hospitals to be accommodating half the world coming here to give birth. Let's prioritize people who are already here and try and get them in and out of the hospital a little faster.
All right. Jackie writes, hey, I had to take some deep breaths listening to the immigration issues. OMG, what a joke. My whole family are immigrants from the UK in 1968. While it wasn't easy for them to come, they took a leap for their future. My dad was a policeman and my mom was a new mom with my sister. I came along later and I have a harder time trying to figure out how to get my British citizenship than these people have, living the luxury of coming into our country easy peasy. How is that fair when they have no ties to this country? Grr. And she writes, what is Scott smoking?
Yeah. Okay, so I have some new product that I just got the other day. Unfortunately, I don't have it here in the studio with me.
That's too bad.
It's a new one from Super Toast. I'm also trying it's a Hawaiian Punch knockoff. It's a half gram for $3. And it's really, really potent. I'm going to get the names of them for you for Monday's episode. I know I've said that in the past and forgot, but I'm going to endeavor to do that for Monday and tell you what is Scott smoking. I'm not even going to address some of the specific immigration issues in her message there because it's true. If you have heritage from another country and you want to apply to be a dual citizen, for example, I'm a dual citizen. I'm a Canadian citizen and I'm a British citizen. It wasn't easy to get citizenship. If you come to Canada, it's very easy to get citizenship and permanent residency. We do not put people through the hoops that other countries do. And that's bananas. I don't understand why. I get what she's saying. But there's a theme forming here, Anna. Do you feel it? Canadians are very, very frustrated with the level of immigration right now. And we were told by the government that they were going to slow it down. They were going to stop letting people in for now. They're not. Like, people are still coming. You just heard from Taylor, who had to share a hospital bed when she was giving birth with two people that don't even speak English. Their medical records are from their country, and they're not in English either, and we catered to them in their language. There's so many examples of why people are frustrated with immigration, and I don't want people to be frustrated with immigrants. I want us to all coexist and be that nice melting pot that Canada always was. The problem is the Liberals have let so many people in that it's becoming extremely inconvenient for the people who live here, and the frustration is growing. Try not to take it out on the people, take it out on the government. They're the ones who brought these people here. That's the only thing I want to leave people with is the people who came here, they were probably encouraged to do it. There's no downside to doing it. It's a lot of perks. And you know what? I don't blame people for taking advantage of the perks. Blame it on the government that made it possible.
I really love that. Thank you for saying that. That's a good message.
Well, you know what? I don't want to go down the road where we become a racist country.
Yeah.
And I can see it starting to happen in some cases, and I don't want us to go down that road. We made so much progress. I don't want us to go back. But I certainly understand the frustration. So do you blame the immigrants and are we going to get all racist again? No, but we should certainly be demanding better from our government.
That's just the best way of putting it. Thank you for that. All right. Diane writes, love the cannabis segment. Before legalization, I was one of those people who thought it would ruin society. Now I'm a regular user and hardly drink anymore. A small puff before bed helps with anxiety and sleep, and no more red wine hangovers. Mm-hmm. I tried growing a couple plants once, but it was so much easier to just buy it.
Yeah.
Ever purchased from the reservation? That stuff is potent.
Okay, yeah. Actually, the res, they do allow you to buy stuff that is more potent. So have at it if you want to go and check out your local First Nations reserve.
I've never smoked First Nations marijuana.
Their edibles in particular are a lot more potent.
Oh, is there? Okay.
Yeah. Although I'm led to believe that Health Canada is now allowing up to 100 milligrams of THC. So I got to look into that. I don't want to say for sure if that's true, but I had heard that rumor. There's a lot of people just like this person, though. Once it became legal, they tried it, they liked it, and it has helped them not drink as much alcohol. Mm-hmm. I mean, compare the health benefits. I think it's not even close. Cannabis is probably the better option if you need something to take the edge off after work or at the end of a long week or whatever. There's also the benefit from being able to sleep better, less stress, less anxiety. It's almost the opposite effect of what alcohol has in a lot of cases. And cannabis has helped people get off some of the booze that they were putting in their system. I don't know why we're still demonizing this. Why can't cannabis stores advertise? Why are there still such heavy restrictions on them? Why is somebody running to the door to check my ID when I walk in? But you can take children into the LCBO.
And get them to push the cart and help you bag everything. It's hilarious.
The whole thing is so hypocritical. I don't understand why we haven't made any more progress there. This has been legal for a long time now.
Yeah. Well, this is an interesting one, Scott. I'm really excited to hear your take, okay? Anonymous. Hey, Scott, I am a segment producer at one of the mainstream media outlets that you shit all over every day. Capital all over. I want to let you know that during one of our meetings recently, I suggested we book you as a guest on our main political show. I said you could offer balance on our panel. A few people agreed with me, and I thought someone was going to reach out to you. Then I heard one of the higher ups said no because you're a strong personality and it wouldn't be good for viewers. I tried. Don't hate on all the journalists. Some of us are just trying to make a living. Love the pod. A few of us here listen every single day. You need to add more video. You're going to be Canada's Joe Rogan.
Oh, wow. Thank you very much. I'm kind of curious as to know which show it was.
I know. Mainstream media. I worked for mainstream media for a very long time. I'm interested to know.
Is being a strong personality frowned upon in television? You were on TV for years, Anna.
Yeah, it is.
What is it about that?
It's just when you have a really strong personality, you feel like you can't really conduct the interview sometimes, and you're kind of working for them and not with them and how the interview is going to go. And it could shape how things end up, especially if it's a live interview. It's different if it's pre-taped because you have more control. But when it's live, I can't control anything that you say. So you can go in there with an agenda. We could go through all the questions beforehand, where we think this interview is going to go, and then you can just drop it. And you have a strong leadership here in terms of followers and a strong message. So, yeah, they would be intimidated. They would be intimidated. I could see it for sure. I like a good challenge, though. I've always been open to the idea. Come on, let's have it. This is a person's opinion, and it's good to hear everybody.
I don't know that they really want all people's opinions, though. It seems like they want specific opinions when they do these panel shows.
Yeah, from the sounds of it. I haven't been a part of those political panels in my day, but I've always found it interesting when somebody is able to come on and speak truth and go from there. I think that's the way it should be done. But hey, who am I? I'm no longer part of the mainstream media, so.
Oh. Anyway, well, thanks for thinking of me.
Yeah.
I'm not going to apologize for having a personality or being able to debate. So there you go.
Yeah.
But hey, if you want to call, I'll entertain it.
Yeah, there you go. So finally, Melissa writes, hey, Scott, how is the electronic scooter working out for you? The electric scooter. I haven't heard you talk about it lately. Do you still use it? I'm considering getting one in the Black Friday deals. Just curious.
I love my scooter. In this weather, I don't use it very often, obviously, but I do love that scooter. It is so much fun. I don't know why, but it almost gives you that whimsical kid vibe again, you know? Like, I remember riding my bike down the street when I was little, and I felt like I could go to the edge of the earth. So much freedom on that bike.
Yeah.
It's a similar feeling with the scooter, just without my legs burning afterwards.
Thank goodness, because now I ride bikes and I think, oh my gosh, this is exercise. As a kid, no exercise. It was just freedom and fun. So the scooter, I'm here for that. So you recommend for a Black Friday deal?
If you can get a good deal on it, go for it. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. If you haven't tried one, I recommend you try it. I had my first experience with one in the States, and they were in a downtown center, and you could just you scanned a QR code, entered your credit card number. You could ride the scooter until you were done with it, leave it where you wanted to leave it, and it would just bill your card for however many kilometers you drove. That was where I got the bug. And then once I started seeing them available for sale to regular people, I thought, I gotta get one of these. Now, I don't have a lot of practical uses for it. It's not like you're taking it to the grocery store or anything. It's a scooter, but it's a lot of fun just for whipping around the neighborhood.
Oh, see, cool. Hey, something to consider, Melissa. I hope he answered your question. So to me, it sounds like get one.
Is that it for DMs?
That is. They've been great. There are a big range of comments there.
Love it. All right, Anna, you have a great weekend.
Thank you. You too. Thank you.
And thank you for listening to this episode of Scott Fox After 9, full of strong personality. Every single episode. I will catch you right back here on Monday with another After 9. In the meantime, if you missed any of the episodes this week, go back and give them a listen. Monday, we're into December 2025, and I will talk to you then. Here's Pat James and The Whole Truth. Hey now. Have a good one.